Hello, I'm Senator Mike Enzi. In the last 2 weeks, I heard from many of you on the EPA's new proposed rule that could expand its authority over waterways in the United States, including your private property. And my letter requesting the Government Accountability Office to look at the National Park Service's structure and spending habits. Let's take a look at a few of these questions and comments you left for me online or through my office. First, the EPA Waters of the United States proposed ruling. Jim from Glen Rock said, the EPA is another power-hungry government agency which is pushing its authority to see just how far they can get without anyone complaining. Once they set a precedent, it'll be hard to get it undone and opens the way for further intrusion. Dale from Buffalo, cut the EPA. We have our own state water laws. Sandy from Basin, EPA is way overstepping their boundaries, and they need to know the people in Wyoming are not going to stand for it. Ken from Cheyenne said, cut their funding, power the purse. Good suggestions. Yes, they've overstepped their bounds. They have been trying for years to get control of our water. We've fought it off every time. The Blue Ways was one of the later attempts. Now they've got this proposed rule, and I don't know how they can classify some of these things as navigable rivers. Idaho is the only one that I know that has a definition for that, and they said that it has to be a 14-foot pole 6 inches in diameter, and it has to float out of the state without any help. I told them I thought it was too short and too thin, but most of the waterways that the EPA is trying to take control of don't have any water in them at all most of the year. And we have water laws. We've been doing water laws. We know water laws. I keep trying to explain them our water laws, and once they get that, then we'll have to move into the compacts, because the water that flows out of our states is also controlled within the state. So yes, the EPA should stay out of it. Yes, we should cut their funding. In order to cut their funding, we have to have a majority of Republicans in the U.S. Senate and a majority in the House. When we send that cut, though, to the president, he'll probably veto it, but I think if he vetoes it a couple of times that he'll be embarrassed to do that. And the East really needs to learn about the West and water. In the East, they're trying to figure out how to drain it off because they get so much rain and water. The trees don't even root deeply, and so they fall over on houses and cars. But in the West, of course, we're trying to save every drop of it we can, and they just don't have that down. So we've been blocking them every way we can. We'll continue to do that. Now, accounting of Park Service spending. Paul from Basin says, there's no reason that we can't have access to Wyoming state and federal lands. Rodney from Cody said, the Park Service is a drop in the bucket compared to other agencies. I guess I should be happy you're starting somewhere, but the Park Service seems to run on a thread as it is. Elise from Rock Springs said, how much will this formal review cost us? Where is that money coming from? The federal spending is available to anyone. Aaron from Laramie said, I'm not sure that this is the best use of your time at this point. There are other things that you could do to be more productive. Let's try to be a little bit more efficient with the time that we have. Rodney from Devil's Tower said, great job, Senator. Living next to a unit of the National Park Service, I can firsthand see the waste and inefficiency of the federal government. Yes, we have to start somewhere, and this is a very small part of my job, but a very important part of my job. Yellowstone Park, of course, and Teton National Park are two of the gems in Wyoming, and then we have the first national monument, Devil's Tower, and those all have backlogs of maintenance. And what I'm thinking is that a lot of the money is getting stuck in the bureaucracy in Washington. I want it to get out to the parks where it can take care of this backlog. The backlog's at about $12 billion. And we're going to have to find a way to take care of that if we're going to have the kind of a national park that we want. And so I'm willing to spend some time on the parks and do every year. Part of it's trying to continue to be sure that snowmobiles can be allowed in Yellowstone in the winter. It's a beautiful place to go. But we need to get control of every part of the spending. I'm concentrating on a lot of the other parts as well. I'm one of the 2 accountants in the United States Senate, so I like to do audits on different agencies, and I can tell you they're not very auditable and they're not very accountable, and I'm going to try and make them both. So thank you for your comments again. If you'd like to stay up to date with more information on what I'm working on for you here in Washington, check out my Facebook and Twitter pages. I also encourage you to leave a comment or tweet at Senator Enzi. If you would like to start receiving my monthly e-newsletter, just go to my website at enzi.senate.gov and click on the sign up button on the right-hand side of the screen. Thanks again for all the great questions and comments, and keep them coming.